afternoon, dear students. Welcome in today's doubt session. My name is Raj Sankar at SRIRAM IAS. Today we are going to have discussion on social mobility. Social mobility is a very important topic in sociology. As we know, every year one question or every alternate year one question we find from the social mobility. And this is very, very important from examination point of view. So we should pay a good attention to the topic of social mobility. Today our discussion will be social mobility in open society and in closed society, and we have to explain differences between two, right? So let us go for discussion without time wasting. The discussion is the social mobility in open and closed societies. Explain differences. Explain differences, right? This is a very simple topic but very, very important topic. Our discussion is on social mobility, right? We have to discuss about what is social mobility first, then social mobility in the open society, thereafter social mobility in the closed society. Then we have to explain the differences. So first, the structure of this question would be, or this topic would be, when we talk about the structure, first we shall have to discuss about what is social mobility, thereafter social mobility in the open society, thereafter social mobility in the closed society. Then we'll go to make explanation, or we'll go to make what differences found between the two. So let us go for explanation. First we can say social mobility. What is social mobility? Structure. If you think about the structure of this subheading, then would be like this. First we have to go for discussion of social mobility, right? What is social mobility? Do you know social mobility? Social mobility is almost found in every society. Social mobility in sociology is explained in terms of movement of people from one social position to another, that is placed in hierarchical order. It means समाज में जब व्यक्ति कोई परिवार, कोई समूह, कोई ग्रुप सोसाइटी के हायरार्की में जो ऊपर जाता है, नीचे आता है, तो इसी प्रोसेस को कहते हैं सोशल मोबिलिटी. इट कैन बी बोथ हॉरिजॉन्टल मोबिलिटी एज वेल एज द वर्टिकल मोबिलिटी. सो लेट अस डिफाइन दिस वन. फर्स्ट वन, सोशल मोबिलिटी मीन्स movement of people, or movement of people from one social position to another in hierarchical arrangement of society, right? Social mobility is defined in terms of what? It means movement of people from one social position to another in the hierarchical social position. It means when you talk about, suppose you think of, we talk about this is the hierarchy. Here it is the upper class, here it is the middle class, here it is the lower class, right? Upper class, middle class and the lower class, this is the hierarchy. Now, social movement can be movement of people in the hierarchical social order. Either can be upward or either can be downward mobility. So when there is improvement in people's position, they go from the lower to higher position. This is considered upward mobility. When go from higher to lower position, then it is considered the downward social mobility. So social mobility can be both upward as well as downward in the vertical system, right? Now, after writing this one, next we can write the social mobility. So social mobility is an integral. Social mobility is an integral part of. Social mobility is an integral part of social stratification. Like social stratification. Social mobility is an essential part of social stratification, because we know the social stratification means the movement of people from one social position to another social position, and therefore social mobility involves movement of people from the lower position to higher, higher position to lower. Sometimes this can be the horizontal position. When there is a change in the position but no structural change, this is horizontal mobility, right? Fine. Now, the social mobility can be both. Here the question, as per question, social mobility is integral part of the social structure. Now, question is the social mobility in closed society and in open society. So, first let us understand what is the open society. Social mobility in open society. Open society means where change or mobility, right? Open society is one where change or mobility is allowed based on merits or achievements of individuals, right? Clear? Fine. Open system of social mobility is one where the change is allowed because it is based on merit. So the change or mobility is possible on the basis of merit, on the basis of achievement. Second, when we talk about the closed system, closed system, the closed social mobility or open social mobility, you can say open social mobility, or here we can say the closed social mobility. Now, closed social mobility means what? When we talk about the closed social mobility, means mobility in the closed society. So, this society, in the closed social mobility, society is rigid. Society is rigid, therefore social mobility is discouraged. Fine. So open society is one, or open social mobility is one where mobility is higher because it is open society, so promotes more and more mobility based upon the merit, achievement, skills of people. Closed society is one where social mobility is very slow, and in fact it is a rigid society that discourages social mobility. So it's based upon certain attributes. It may be based on age, sex, race, caste in India, etc. So there are two systems of mobility. Social mobility in the closed society, social mobility in the open society. Closed society is one where mobility is discouraged. Open society is one where mobility is encouraged. This is the idea about this. Now, idea is make explanation or explains differences. So when we talk about the differences between two, differences when we talk about, we say open system of social mobility, right? Open system of social mobility. And second one is the closed system of social mobility. Open system of social mobility and closed system of social mobility when we talk about, or social mobility in the open system, social mobility in the closed system. When we talk about the open system and closed system, think about this. First, talk about the basis. What is the basis of mobility, social mobility in the open society? You will say that the basis is achievement. Open system of social mobility is one where mobility is promoted on the basis of achievement or basis of merit. Suppose one student prepared for UPSC examination, and preparing UPSC examination, he qualifies this exam and becomes the IAS officer. This is considered the open mobility. So a judge, so a professor, open system mobility. So it may be on the basis of achievement or merit. Here in closed system, may be based upon the ascription, based upon certain ascription. Like in India, it can be the caste, like somewhere race, like somewhere age, like somewhere sex. So many bases could be there. Ascription is a one. Or here we can say birth. Here we can say the birth. These are the ascription. So basis of mobility is different in different societies. Second is considered when we talk about the mobility, the level of mobility. Level, when we talk about this society promotes high social mobility. ओपन सोसाइटी प्रमोट्स हाई सोशल मोबिलिटी. चूंकि ये मेरिट पर बेस्ड होता है इसलिए सबको मोबिलिटी प्रमोट करता है और ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ मेरिट पीपल आर इवेल्युएटेड. बट दिस सिस्टम हैव द लो सोशल मोबिलिटी बिकॉज it is based upon the ascription or certain attributes. That is why closed society will discourage social mobility. इसलिए urban society is open society, industrial society is open society. So this promotes high level of social mobility. But the traditional society, agrarian society, is a little bit closed society. Therefore, it discourages the social mobility. Now, third one, when we talk about inequality, what kind of inequality is found? Inequality. In open system, inequality is a contested inequality. Contested inequality. Or we can say competitive inequality. You know that in the open society, inequality is contested, means inequality is not fixed. So inequality exists in terms of class hierarchy, I told you, like lower class, middle class, upper class. So if a student prepared for UPSC becomes IAS officer, so his position will change from the lower class to middle class. Again, people go from middle class to higher class. So inequality exists, but it is not fixed, it is contested. And therefore, one person lower can become higher, one person higher can become the lower. But if we talk about inequality in the closed society, then inequality is considered a little bit rigid. Sometimes rigid, sometimes fixed. Sometimes rigid or fixed inequality. By the way, no society is completely open and no society is completely closed. So in every society, mobility is possible. Even in the past, Indian society considered caste-based rigid society, but mobility was also possible. Class-based society also have inequality. So caste-based society. But this is contested, a little bit rigid, if not fixed, but rigid inequality that we talk about. Third, we say that when we talk about the freedom of people, freedom, how much freedom people have in open society. So we can say in open society, people have high freedom. People have high freedom, freedom or liberty and rights, so people respect it. People will not make intervention. But in closed society, this is low level of freedom because this society have collective conscience. This society have high collective conscience. So high collective conscience. So collective conscience will decide about, Biradari culture will decide about how much freedom to be given to the people. So any deviation is considered harmful. Now, when we talk about the work or occupations in the open society, actually it is choice based. It is the choice based. So it's our choice. No? Like in modern society, a person can become doctor, engineer, IAS, IPS, teacher, or judges, professionals, whatever they like. People have the space to choose according to their choice, according to their merit. But when you talk about the closed society, actually it's not the choice, rather than it is ascribed. It is ascribed. Means it is decided by society. Like caste system in India, like there was a kind of traditional basis of allocation of role of the people in the society. So this was prevalent. Now, conclusive part is that social mobility is found in every society. Social mobility found in closed society. Social mobility found in the open society. No society is completely closed. No society is completely open. Therefore, social mobility is the basic feature of all societies. Social mobility is the basic feature of all societies, open society, closed society. But it is not a denying fact. The social mobility is higher in the open society. Modern industrial societies are treated as the open societies. Therefore, social mobility is higher in the modern system of or modern societies or modern system of stratification. So you find high level of social mobility. But even in the traditional society, mobility is there. Though it is in terms of rate, mobility will be lesser compared to the open society. So we can say that the social mobility is a universal phenomenon. So rate of social mobility, direction of social mobility depends on nature of society and depends on the other factors that contributes the society. That is to say industrialization, urbanization, technology, because there are many individual factors as well as social factors that are responsible for the social mobility of the individuals. So we can say this is prevalent in every society. Now social mobility again consider good for society, social mobility consider bad for society. Like social mobility promotes mobility, gives motivation to work, gives higher space to people, gives opportunity to express their ability, and the capability and talents are respected in the society. And the problem would be that high level of social mobility sometimes break down the system, sometimes create anomic condition. And Karl Marx sometimes say the high level of social mobility breaks the solidarity of the working class, and therefore it will be harmful to society. So social mobility is good or bad. Now come to the conclusion therefore, right? The social mobility finally is the movement of people from one social position to another in hierarchical system, and social mobility found both in the closed society and the open society. In open society, social mobility is higher. In closed society, social mobility is lesser, but social mobility is the phenomenon of all societies. This is all about the discussion of today's topic. So I think this discussion is very, very helpful for you. It will give you broad insight about the topic of social mobility and social stratification. And when you will study social change, you will also study how social mobility also promotes a social change. So rate of social mobility will also decide the rate of social change. So enough for you. Thank you, friends. Very nice to have the interactive session of this session. And now take care. Have a good day. Thank you.